Welcome back, everyday business leaders. I'm Melanie Ake, your host for today's show, coming to you from JP the Geek Studio right here in Greenwood. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Join me as we connect and celebrate remarkable business leaders from our very own community who are redefining the way we think and grow. Remember, subscribe to our channel and turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode. Today, we have another exciting segment in store for you for business innovation and inspirational leaders. 40 years plus, we're going to talk to Kimberly Smith from Johnson County Senior Services. Hi, Kimberly.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Melanie.
Oh my gosh, my heart. We've been crying before this episode.
I've cried every day since September of 2012 when the Lord called me there. So it's not new to me to cry every day.
This is amazing work that you do. And I just wanted to bring you in and celebrate you because there are so many people in our lives and people that we know, our friends, our neighbors, our relatives that need your services. And what you do, next year's going to be 45 years?
Yes, we are so excited. Yes, 45 years.
45 years. I want to really dive into you, your heart, how you're serving. 2012 has been a long time ago. It's 11 years that you've been with this organization.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And you serve Johnson County and the senior services programs. And so I want us to learn about you, Kimberly, really your core of why this is so important to you.
Well, for me, I have always had a heart for service. When I remember being 14 years old and asking for a candy striper uniform and being so excited that I even opened the presents under the tree before Christmas to make sure it was there because otherwise I needed to do more babysitting jobs to purchase it. So it has always been my heart. And then mission trips grew and all those other kinds of things. But senior services is a completely different ministry to me.
Mm-hmm. It is because it's sometimes those that can't, right, that need, I know. But it's the heart to serve. And when you do that, you get so much back. And our community just loves you because of all the things that you provide. And being a nonprofit is hard because you have to think of all the ways that, like, what's happening today. Mm-hmm. Not just like, okay, we have to check this off of a list. But what I love about what you do is you listen and you grow. And you have so many volunteers that just step up and say, I want to be a part of it.
Right. We're so blessed. 45 years ago in the basement of a little church is how the agency began. And it was really a group of people saying, what is the greatest challenge they're facing? And at that time, it was a need for transportation. If you fast forward 45 years, the greatest need is still transportation. But the part that continues to just make my heart ache is when they're calling and they're eating dog food. They're not eating for days. They're choosing between food and medicine. They're suffering from isolation and loneliness and depression. They have been abused. They've been abandoned. The list goes on and on, what we hear every day. And I remember praying 22 years ago. And I remember asking the Lord when I was doing full-time ministry to just open my heart and break it for what break is, that I would have the passion for him, but the compassion for the same heart that he has for the people that we are going to be entrusted to our care. And he has honored that every single day.
Mm-hmm. I love it. You're located right here in Whiteland, where the offices are.
We are so blessed. We had been in a little house that was a gift from Franklin College. We were there for many, many years, and it had been built in 1852. The problem was I was allowed to say the building was compromised. So that's what we said, and that's really it was. But there was a lot of other underlying issues that happened in that building where we stayed sick. So for 7 years, I was literally praying my head off that the Lord would either open a pre-existing building or property or something for us to get in a position to help even more people, because the space was small and we were borrowing a barn from one of my board of directors out at Otterbein. And you know what number 7 is in the Bible, we all know. So I kept thinking, oh Lord, this is going to be the year of completion. I have no idea how this is going to work out. The mayors from our 2 cities were looking, the town managers were looking, my drivers everywhere around the county. And I remember passing property out on Tracy Road, and there was a sign erected there, and it said Future Home of, and I knew that church was dissolved at that time. And I called the pastor, and he said, it was a Monday morning, he said, have you ever thought about selling a couple of acres? And he said, I can't believe you're asking me this morning, because just yesterday, the elders and I had a meeting, and we decided we would sell 2 acres. And he told me how much, and I said, as reasonable as I'm sure that is, we are serving the most underfunded, underserved, and most unappreciated precious souls in our county. There's not capital campaign for this. But if we did buy that, there wouldn't be money to build. So we're just going to have to keep praying. He called me back a week later, and he said, I cannot sleep. He said, the Lord is all over me. We have to bless you with 1.33 acres as a gift unto the Lord. And that acreage was actually the tithe, the 10th of the total acreage there. So that is how that happened. In that very same week, 2 mighty men of God reached out and said, we want to lead the project. We will hire every contractor. We will call in every favor. We will do absolutely everything we need to get you into this building. All you have to do is choose the design, and we will just go with it from there. And this happened during the global pandemic. And I'm thinking, Lord, we're going to do this thing during the global pandemic. So we broke ground July 3rd, 2020. And we needed $200,000 left to build when we broke ground. And 3 days after we broke ground on faith, an elderly woman walked into my building, and she said, I am not a woman of means. She said, I'm a widow of a farmer's wife. She said, but here. And she handed me a note and a blank check that was signed. I'm like, I can't touch the check. But the note said, here is a check to write for the charity you told me about. Write it for whatever you see fit. Love, your rich brother. And she said, how much do you want me to write it for? And I said, oh, I cannot tell you how much to write it for, but we can take it to the master and see what he speaks to your spirit. And we are praying our heads off. And when we stop praying, tears are streaming down both of our faces. And she said, the picture hanging on your wall is the same one I slept under for 3.5 months at my daughter's home in Claremont, Florida. And she said, the scripture on your wall is my life first. She said, I know I'm in the right place. She said, this brother owns homes across the United States, and he wants to make a difference. And so he just sold a home in Phoenix, Arizona. And I have to write this check for the tithe of the home. And I said, whatever that gift is will be a blessing. God will make up the difference. And I don't know how, and I don't need to know how. I just have to be in the center of God's will and have faith. And she said, well, this home sold for $1 million. So I have to write this check for $100,000. And at that time, I called my dispatcher in. I'm like, Kathy, I need you to come into my office, please, because we have a senior about ready to write a check for $100,000. And it said on the check, text only. And she said, this brother is hearing impaired. She said, can you text him? And I said, I can. She said, will he get that next week? I'm like, oh, no, he'll get it right away if he has this one. She said, I have never heard of such a thing. It was the sweetest thing ever. I texted and said, your sweet sister's in my office. She felt the Lord leading her to write this check for $100,000. Promise I will do nothing with it, but put it in the safe until I hear from you. He texted back immediately. He said, that's perfectly fine. I'm at my home in Fort Myers, Florida right now. So give me 3 days so I can get with my bank. And I said, no problem. How would you like to be recognized? And he said, I don't want any recognition at all, but my sweet sister can. And I said to her, your brother doesn't want to be recognized, but how can we recognize you? And she said, no. Only my Heavenly Father gets credit for this. Oh. And then 3 days later, an elderly man walked in, and he said, I'm 85 years old. He said, my beloved of 65 years got called home to be with the Lord. He said, she loves dogs and she loves seniors, so the dogs are getting $5,000. But here's a check for you. And do you know how much it was for? The remaining, the $100,000. That very same week, Christian from Aspire Johnson County called and said, we're moving into a new building. Do you want our used furniture? The answer was yes, please, and thank you. We went there and got that. Cummins called and said, we have a boardroom table. A farmer came in and said, I have a half a cow and a leather couch, not from the same cow, I presume. And there we go. So that is how everything in our building began to happen. And we moved in 4 months, 2 weeks, which was 2 days before Thanksgiving during a global pandemic, without owing a single penny on anything. So God poured out his uncommon favor, as he always does for us. So,
well, you know, when you just lean in, right?
Oh, that's absolutely.
And people say, well, have faith. It's like, but you have to live the faith. Right?
Absolutely.
If you live it, he blesses you.
Oh, and
always.
Uncommonly. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, everybody take a breath. That's amazing. And I didn't know a lot of that story. So I really appreciate understanding that.
Of course.
Before we forget, like, how can people give right now? Because they're listening to this, and I know people are saying, but what can I do?
Yeah, absolutely. There's first and foremost, when people say, what can I do? I always say every movement of God begins with prayer. So please pray. Pray for our seniors, pray for our ministry, pray for our agency. It's imperative. But the seniors that have so many needs, sometimes it's a simple card just to let them know they're being thought of. And we can get those to them through the food distribution, through Christmas. Right now, we were fully immersed into Seniors Still Believe. If you're out at Christmas trees throughout the Kroger stores, town of Whiteland, Chick-fil-A, our friends there, all of them have done things to help gather Christmas gifts. Last year, we delivered to 3,200 seniors. This year, it will be more because the needs continue to grow. There's a constant stream of food needs, and we have the blessing of delivering to the homes of food insecure folks. So that is another special thing because so many can't get out and get to traditional pantries. And even though we provide transportation, sometimes physically it's just not good for them to get out for whatever medical reason they might be going through. Or those that we transport 3 days a week to dialysis. On the day they're not going to dialysis, they're tired, their bodies ache. And so it's important that we be able to get them the nutrition that they need. If anybody has any durable medical equipment or incontinence, last year we distributed 3,250 pieces of DME and over 4,000 packages of incontinence. And if a senior is already choosing between food and medicine, to pay $18 to $24 for a package of incontinence is asking the moon for them. And so we really are so blessed to be able to provide those things to help stretch their budget so they can pay their utility bill or so they can get some other basic things that they need, like their medicine, etc.
One particular situation that I firsthand experienced where the senior was declining in health rapidly. We were taking her regularly to dialysis and things like that. I began to see the home itself become in disarray, so that told me she was not being able to get up and get around and clean. And then her weight began to drop, and so we were able to notify the family and let them know there was an issue. And eventually we had to call in Adult Protective Services to come in, and they actually found her laying in a fetal position in her bedroom, and she had to be transported to the hospital. That's the major part of what we do, is just really caring for those that are lost. We don't want them to feel abandoned. We don't want them to feel alone. We want them to know somebody out there cares. Right. And the team itself works together to do that.
I would say that is a big factor for most seniors, because in today's world, your children are off in a far city doing their thing, and so you're here still wanting to live in the community, and you can rely on Johnson County Senior Services for transportation that at times other families rely on their children to take them places. And so that is a big factor that I see is a selling point as far as senior services are concerned.
I am loving it here because seniors are the most neglected of our population. They really are. I see it. I see that young people are kind of putting their parents aside and not really taking care of them. A lot of our seniors don't see their families. A lot of these live out in the country, and so they don't see people. A lot of their family has moved out of state. So we transport them to their doctor's appointments and hospital appointments. And a lot of times, to be honest with you, they call because they're lonely and they like to talk. And they like the visit when we go and deliver the food. And so that's really, I think, a very important part. Being a senior myself, I kind of can relate to that. And being new here.
One of my jobs was to read the obituaries and keep our database current. And when I had to tell a driver that they lost a passenger, it was like they lost a member of their family. It was just, that was one of the hardest parts for our drivers, is losing the people that they grew. And it was probably more so even for the drivers than for the dispatchers, because they were with them every day. They're the ones who buckled them into their seatbelt and listened to their funny stories and corny jokes. Oh, some of the singers could tell the corniest jokes. Not I, of course.
Hi, this is Melanie Ake. When you visit everydayleaders.com, you'll find valuable resources to become a better leader in your life. Women's leadership programs, including Top Floor Women, our monthly networking events, corporate workshops, and strategic business coaching services. Discover classes and products to develop yourself, including our morning leadership devotionals. Don't forget, order one of my inspirational books, sign up for classes, or pick up some gear in the Leader Store. Listen to the Everyday Business Leaders podcast, apply to be a guest in our studio, or even sponsor your own commercial advertisement. Contact us today at everydayleaders.com. I want to just kind of reiterate, like, you serve families that may have families.
Absolutely.
Right? But it goes back to this sense of pride that some people just aren't able to ask for the things that they need, or they're embarrassed, or they have a situation that's happening that may have not happened before. And so I want people to understand, like, you have such an open door policy.
Absolutely. We don't know financial information. We don't need to know. We don't need to know anything except that you have a need. That's all we need to know. And yes, there is a spirit of pride. And whenever someone calls and starts to say, I don't want to be a burden, I immediately stop and say, let me just remind you, you are a blessing. You're not a burden. And it's our pure joy to help with whatever we can. So,
Oh, I love you.
I love you too.
This is so much stuff. Joe has some things that he's going to help us just share on the screen here. We have the Uplift. Uplift will match donations up to $3,000.
Yes. Such a
Matching
blessing.
gifts up to $3,000 now through Friday, December the 15th. And that's just
It's
right
huge.
around the corner.
Yes.
Up to $3,000. So you can go right now to Johnson County Senior Services and give that gift. So Facebook, website, what's the best way for us to connect?
For those things, for Uplift Johnson County, that one they have posted on their Facebook page as well as our Facebook page. The other program is Positivity. We had found out many years in the past that seniors would choose something for themselves versus their fur friends. Reverse that. They would choose something for their fur friends instead of themselves. And sadly, we don't want anyone to go without. And one of our volunteers last February, even though we had pet supplies, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to help a few of the seniors. And on February 14th, along with GMI and Eve Presnell, said, we are going to birth Positivity. And that is how Positivity was birthed. And it is a program to make sure seniors have everything they need so they would not have to surrender their fur friends. Having said that, we recently entered into a partnership with Johnson County Animal Control because it was on the heart of Mike Clark that seniors also receive all of what they need: food, supplies, bedding, everything that they need. And through that partnership, just in the last month, we have been able to bless a multitude of seniors to help with their pets. So that is going on now with donation drives, and you'll see that information as well as where those Amazon wish lists are and all the donation boxes for that.
That's amazing. I think, get involved, get to your Facebook page.
Absolutely.
And find out who are all the connected conversations. And I know Ebony Ligon, she does a lot of with the notes and the cards back from senior services to the kids. She's got so many programs that are happening that she wants to help and support. There are so many nonprofits that are connected to you,
right,
that say, what can we do just to give a little bit of our gifts, right?
True. And we are so blessed to receive a multitude of things that we know are not ours. We know we are the conduit God uses to get it from point A to point B. And that point B is many other not-for-profit agencies that we love to partner and help as well.
So it's the giving season. And I know you're part of Because One as well.
We are, absolutely. Because One is an amazing platform ran by amazing individuals who have a heart for all not-for-profits. And so there's always updated lists on Because One to help navigate some of those items that are needed for our seniors.
And what I love about that is that's the visualization. So I want to challenge people right now. So if you have $10 to give right now, go to Johnson County Senior Services, figure out a way to connect to the right resource, thing that really pulls your heart. Just give $10. Our church always says it. If you can just give $10, it makes a huge difference. But for every single person that's subscribed to this channel, that's watching this, do something great today. Give to Kim.
Thank you.
Give to Kim. Yeah. I just, my heart loves you so much, and I see what you're doing in the community, and you know, we're all going to get to that point sometime. So I say we're kind of serving so that we can continue to give back and just love our community.
Absolutely. And that is truly the one thing every single person on this planet has in common. We are all aging, right? Every morning we wake up and take a new breath. We are getting closer to who might have a need. And everyone is so close to not even realizing what that need might be, because circumstances happen that you can't plan for. And it is our heart that people would just know who we are and what we do, and that everything we do is free for them. And it's an honor to serve these amazing seniors who deserve so much more than they get right now.
Gosh, Kim, I thank you from my heart for coming in and sharing time with us. I just want people to know who you are. I want them to be connected. I want to do one thing to be able to help Kim raise the money needed. You have Dining in the Dark that's coming up next year. You had an amazing event this year. And so next year you're planning. But talk to us about this 45 year. You said April the 5th. We need to put that on our calendar.
We do. Save that date, April 5th. So 4/5, we will be celebrating 45 years of serving this precious generation. And we will be having an open house. We'll be doing a lot of other things. But if everybody even just gave $4.50 a month, that's only $54 a year. But it may not seem a lot to you, but for a senior, that is a lot of money that can help feed them because they don't eat a lot. Their pets are obviously aging animals. Many of them don't eat a lot, but they just have so many needs. So be thinking about 4/5. Of course, we open our building anytime for folks to come through. We love to give tours because we know the building is not ours. We are the host for whatever the Lord chooses to do out of that building. And so it's an honor when we get to give people tours so they can see truly the blessings that the Lord has bestowed upon the agency.
Gosh, I hope you're moved. I hope you're inspired to go down there and check this out. We love you in the community.
Thank you.
And I wanted to celebrate
blessed.
you today.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
And I want to see those donations go up.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
So let's do it. And please be a friend and come back and share with us what's happening. Anytime we can help celebrate you and promote all of the wonderful things that you're doing for us in the community.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We couldn't do what we do without our amazing team, our amazing volunteers, and the community partners who say seniors do make a difference. So thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I hope you enjoyed this show. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Everyday Business Leaders platform. We hope you're inspired to think and grow differently, and today, give differently. Be involved in our community. Remember, the journey of growth never, ever ends. And it's our mission here to keep bringing you the best insights from our local community. So stay tuned for more episodes filled with wisdom, innovation, and inspiration. This is Melanie Ake signing off from JP the Geek Studio, where they say better IT service is just a call away. Own it, secure it, and protect it. Until next time, don't forget, subscribe to that channel, turn those notifications on so you never miss our episodes. Everyday Leaders helps you to develop strategies to become a better leader in your life. It's not what you do in a day. It's what you do every day that makes the most impact. Thanks for following us.